This episode of Virtual Pinball News of the Week is brought to you by the Virtual Pinball Weekly Challenge. We are a group on Facebook who love to play some pinball. We've got 3 tables a week, one for league play, the Throwback Challenge, and a Weekend Warrior. So if you're like me and you want to play pinball with some awesome people, make sure you check us out on Facebook.
At Games Legends Pinball 4K edition coming out. Is it for you? Is it not? Let's talk about it and figure it out.
Virtual Pinball News of the Week. Yeah, it's At Games Pinball Virtual News of the Week.
What's up, everyone? I'm GG Pinball. There's a lot of people lately getting into our hobby. They're new to the hobby and they know very little of the hobby. There's a lot you need to know to get into virtual pinball. You grow a lot of these skills as you go. When I first started, like 2 years ago, I was clueless, man. It was a trip. I mean, I had my basic knowledge of computers and stuff like that helped me. Always been kind of a tech nerd like that. A lot of the stuff, though, I had to pick up on my own, and a lot of testing, a lot of all this. There's really 2 camps of people when it comes to pinball cabs. The people that build their own cabs and the people that buy pre-made cabs. A lot of it depends on all different factors of your life, right? So some people say, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the space. One of the beautiful advantages of making your own is you can customize it to your needs, right? So me, for example, I made my cab. I don't think I would really fit a full-size pinball cabinet in my area. So I customized to my needs. I have a 3/4 cab, which is not the standard. Every person has their own specific needs. We're gonna go over the latest announcement, which is At Games has talked about the Legends 4K version. So this is an upgrade from their HD version of the cab. I'm gonna go over the specs of the cab, then I'm gonna go through my thoughts of them. Then we're gonna discuss if this cabinet is something maybe you are looking for if you're new into this hobby, or if you're into the hobby and you wanna go further, or if it's just a collector's piece. We're gonna go over all of that. First, let's start with the specs. For the 4K version, the onboard processor has been updated. This is going up to the ROC 3588. This chip I've seen a lot in emulation. Some people call it like a Raspberry Pi replacement. Some people refer to it online as like the Raspberry Pi 5, which is not a real thing. Anyway, we've seen some decent performance out of these ROC chips, especially for single board units. Emulation for consoles is a little bit different because you are emulating the hardware and then the graphics. While people use that as an example, I don't know if that's going to be the best comparison when it comes to pinball, but we're going to see. On like the Android side of things, this chip, it's got some beef to it. It's got some power. Will it be able to do everything it says? I'm kind of curious to see. We've got the 32-inch 4K playfield. So this is the same size playfield that was in the HD, but they have upped the res from 1080 to 4K. Integrated back glass and DMD. So on the original Legends Pinball, there was a very small screen that you can kind of use as a back glass, and it kind of did both if you're going to use a back glass and DMD. Like it was kind of small. This new one though is awesome. Like it's huge. I absolutely love it. It's actually very beautiful. So you got that and you got the DMD that's separate. So that is awesome. Larger 3.5 speakers in the front. That's a slight upgrade from the HD version, and it gives you the option for surround sound feedback. Pretty cool. We'll get more into that. It's got standard built-in solenoids. It's got a nudge function. You've got your plunger built in there. This stuff will all work in there. At Games has definitely made some improvements to their 4K cabinet in terms of OTG. That's like they're over hooking up other things to it. So the old version had a USB in to kind of basically use their controls as controllers if you're going to hook up, say, a computer and play something like games on VPX, and they had like an HDMI in for the playfield. If you wanted to use the back glass, you had to buy a whole separate board. You had to do some tinkering around, hooking it up, and it was a bit of a process. They've gotten away from that and made it very easy. This new version has 3 video inputs. One for the playfield, one for the back glass, one for the DMD. That makes life so much easier. You don't have to install anything additional. That stuff is there. So far, it looks like the only thing that's a possible install is if you're going to add additional surround sound feedback. I believe this cabinet has 2 exciters built into it. Standard surround sound feedback has 4 around plus bass shaker. So things I like about this cab. I always loved the artwork. They've definitely made the cab look more like a pinball cabinet as opposed to what it did look like. They've made some adjustments there. The Addams Family version, the limited edition one, I think is beautiful. It comes with a topper, and if you pre-order like right now, you get actually a decent amount off. I believe it's like $1,100, $1,200 if you get the pre-orders. After that, you're looking at around $1,400, $1,500. So negatives about this cabinet. I'm not a fan of the 60 hertz in the monitor, but that's because I'm spoiled. Let me go over this a little bit more. I was used to playing on a 60 hertz monitor. I just switched over recently to 144. I lock VPX at 120 hertz. It gives a much smoother playback, and I feel it has totally changed the game for me. Would I go back? No. But again, I'm spoiled, right? Okay. Still, you're getting a 4K monitor with this. At Games is pretty good with making these systems moddable. I mean, there's whole groups on Facebook that show you how to mod these. I'm sure once this 4K one comes out, it could be a quick and easy swap if you really want to swap. The other thing that is my somewhat negative to this is the board. Yes, it is an upgraded board. That is awesome. Comes with Addams Family, which by the way is the Zen version of Addams Family. That's a whole nother video in itself that Zen's partnering with them. That's kind of crazy. But I will say this, that means the Addams Family is done in the new ZenFX engine. That ZenFX engine it takes a lot. It's beefy. So I'm kind of curious to see. All the videos I've seen so far have not had Addams Family running. I've seen videos running a lot of the stuff that they've had previously. And yes, obviously with a more powerful chip and better resolution, it's going to look better. I'm curious to see how it runs Zen's Addams Family, because again, that new Zen engine, that's a little beefier than the FX3 engine. Now, is this for you? If you go online, there is a debate after debate, people trashing this thing, doing this, doing that. Listen, okay. If you talk to someone who's been into this hobby for quite some time, they're going to trash talk this. They're going to trash talk it to the end, and I get it because they're used to playing on their cab that they built. Honestly, I spend more time working on my stuff than I do playing it. That's part of the hobby, believe it or not. I'm not complaining about that. I kind of enjoy it. It's fun to me. Might not be fun to you. You might not have that time. You might want to be that person who turns the thing on and is ready to go and plays a few rounds and walks away. My dad has the HD, pretty much unmodded other than the board for the back glass. He's not the type to fiddle around. He doesn't have the time to fiddle around. You might not have the time to fiddle around. So you know what? Something with stuff built in like this, this might be the perfect thing for you. And it's way better looking and has more power than the original one. Now, that also being said, you got a lot of people out there saying, oh, you could build a cheaper one. Blah, 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 blah. I've heard so many people say how cheap they could build it. I've heard people say, oh, you could buy the cab that has the 43-inch size for like $700. Yeah, if you're going bare bones, maybe. Yeah, you Google friggin' V-Pin cabs right now. First one's going to come up is like that Game Rooms one. Once you put in actually a lot of the other stuff, I mean, yeah, $700 for bare minimum. That's without pinball legs. Jesus Lord, look at the price of pinball legs. That's like $150 right there, just for the legs. Come on. After you put in the stuff that it had on there and you're still not a full system, you're looking actually at about, you're looking at around like $1,200, $1,300. That's without any kind of computer, any kind of monitors. That's just bare minimum the cabinet, all right? You can't play just the cabinet. That's the buttons and everything like that, but you still need some kind of computer and all that. I've seen people online saying, oh yeah, you can buy a computer for like $300. It's going to play this, blah, 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 4K. Bullshit. What planet are you people living on? It costs $300 for just a 4060 or even a 3060 at this point. Where are you finding a computer that's going to have like a bare minimum, like a 3060, a 4060 graphics card for $300? No, that's BS, all right? Listen, if you are the person that just wants to turn on and play a few rounds of pinball, this is it. This is where you go. Hands down. If you are a person that likes to build, this is definitely not for you, obviously. If you are a person that is looking to maybe mod, this could be for you. Again, this is a good platform to start on. If you're not handy, this is actually a pretty good platform to start on. You can mod this a little bit and you'd be good. I like the ease of use. I've always been a big fan of how At Games has made it so you can just hook up a computer and go, and they've made that a lot easier with this newer version. So again, if you're just getting into the hobby and you don't have the time, this could be your solution. And to be honest, if you can catch it for this like Addams Family $1,200 pre-price, not a bad deal at all, in my opinion. People are going to hate my opinion because people don't like. People hate. What can I say? Don't hate the player. Hate the game, player hater. If you're a hands-on person, you like to build, don't get it. Just build your own. But this isn't directed towards you people, because the people that do that, I built my own cabinet. If you're watching as you built your own cabinet, you're going to have a totally different opinion. Some people just can't do that. Some people don't have the time to do that. Stop telling them, oh, it's better to do this. Especially when the people go on and say, hey, I don't have the time or the tools or the skill. That's the other thing. Maybe you have a job, you live in a city, you live in an apartment, you don't carry friggin' a whole garage worth of tools. This is gonna be for you. This is perfect for that. I give it my seal of approval. Boom.